faith. Jamil Jaffer joining us this morning. Okay, Jamil, all right. They're pulled out of the talks. What comes next?
Well, look, Stuart, I mean, I think the challenge is Hamas doesn't want to give up their hostages that they have, those 50 people, about half of them who are dead, the other half alive. That's their only leverage. And they're trying to use that leverage to get a better deal with Israel. Israel not prepared today to end a permanent ceasefire, a permanent end of the fighting, because they still have more counterterrorism work to do. And so the question becomes, how do you get to a deal if neither side is willing to come to the table with what the other side needs? And at the end of the day, Hamas started this war, right, with killing over 1,000 people in Israel, right? They need to come to the table and say, okay, what will it take to get the hostages back? If the U.S. is walking away, Israel's walking away, this war is going to continue to go on. More civilians will die, more humanitarian challenges. It's not good for anybody.
It just doesn't look good. I mean, I understand there's near starvation levels in Gaza. Food supplies is a difficult situation. But all they've got to do is give up the hostages. I mean, it seems, where am I going wrong here?
No, Stuart, you have it exactly right. I mean, this is the challenge. When you have a terrorist group in charge of a region that doesn't actually care about its own civilians, that is happy to have civilians die, happy to have people starve in order to get their political efforts forward. You know, the real truth is that Hamas benefits when Palestinian civilians die because they think it gains them sympathy in the international community. So they're happy to have their people die. Normally, a government doesn't want its civilians to die. That's the problem when a terrorist group is in charge of an area.
The president of France is going to recognize Palestine, I think. Is that the right word to use, Palestine? Can you just up the prompt a bit? I've got to see the correct wording here. All right.
Well, that does appear to what it looks like.
Macron has, there you go. Macron says he will recognize Palestine as a state. Writing on X, he says, the urgency today is to end the war in Gaza and to provide aid to the civilian population. Does that help at all?
Well, I think what it changes, it's a big change because France is the first of the G7 nations to say it's going to recognize a Palestinian state. He's going to do this at the September meeting of the UN General Assembly in New York. If they go through with this, it'll be a big move. But the challenge, of course, is today Palestine doesn't effectively work as a state. Gaza is controlled by Hamas. The Palestinian Authority has some reasonable control over the West Bank. They're not connected. They're not able to function. And at the end of the day, until the war ends, there's not going to be a real two-state solution. Now, for Israel to remain Jewish and democratic, they have to find a solution to the Palestinian challenge because you can't have people living without rights in your country. The demographics work against Israel's favor. And so the question is, how do you get to a result? But with the war going on, hostages in Gaza, it's impossible to see a two-state solution happening anytime soon.
Is there any way that President Trump could step in, quite dramatically perhaps, and fix this thing? I mean, he's good at this. He's good at it.
Well, he's the vaunted deal maker, right? And so if there was ever a time to do a big deal, this feels like it. Not just the ceasefire, but to eventually bring ultimate peace to the region. If President Trump was able to do that, it could be a huge, massive change to that region, a massive change for the globe. The problem is many American presidents have tried. They haven't been successful at the end of the day, I think, in part because America's not prepared to put its own military forces and folks on the line to police this conflict. That's a decision we've got to make. It's not really President Trump's orientation to have American troops go around the world. So it's hard to see how you get a deal done without some really aggressive, hard-nosed American involvement.
Fair point. Jamil Jaffer, thanks for being with us this morning, sir. We always appreciate it. See you again soon.
Thanks, Stuart.
Yes, sir.